Good to have you along on this Friday. He has been Troop. I am Kevin Thomas. Glad you are making us a part of your day. A lot to get to on the show on this Friday as we head into the weekend. A lot of Braves baseball to get to as they lose to the Phillies. Ben, they just can't do it. Can't do it. I'm telling you, it is I don't know if I'm not going to say it's a curse. I don't believe in that, but they just can't do it. And not get to that 3 wins in a row mark. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We'll take a look at the Atlanta Falcons. Troy Anderson, who just signed his deal today, by the way, his rookie deal. So we'll get to that. What kind of an impact he can have. Todd Monken got an increase. Kirby Smart's got one on the way. What could they be looking at? And just looking at the money in college football. I know Ben has talked about this a lot of, hey, Nick Saban's making $10 million. And we're talking about just where all the money is in college football. Well, Kirby's about to get some of that pie. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit as well. But Ben, as we said, look, Braves lose 4-1. They get a pretty good pitching performance from Kyle Wright. It's just not enough. Couldn't get enough offense. And you still haven't won. You still haven't won 3 in a row, but you took 2 out of the 4 games in the series. You're still tied with Philly in the standings for second. I think the biggest thing that we've seen so far this week is you've made up a game and a half in the standings against the New York Mets. So people talk about, well, this team's look, if they can continue to win 2 out of 3, take series, as I told you pre-show, look, you're in this stretch where you're playing subpar teams, and the Phillies are the best of who you are going to play between now and the 20th of June, and you split with them. So you got the Marlins again tonight. If you can make up 1 game a week, just 1 game a week in the standings between now and June 20th, you'll be 3 games out. I mean, if you're 3 games out at the end of June, I don't think anybody's in full-on panic mode at that point saying, oh, my goodness, the sky's falling. What are you going to do? No. 3 games out is a good series away from being in first place. I mean, you could be tied up with a series sweep against that Mets. So, again, Mets missing 3/5 of their starting rotation. You're making up some games here in a crucial stretch of the schedule for you. Just couldn't get it done last night. I think not having Ronald Acuna certainly hurt. Not having Marcell Ozuna last night certainly hurt from an offensive standpoint. I think that, Ben, is what is causing inconsistency right now more than anything. It's just guys are getting banged up and you can't keep them in the lineup.
Yeah, Kevin, and the thing, and I will say this too, right? I think it still is a sign of a really, really good team when you're not playing your best, but you're still second. In the NL East right now, you still understand it, Kevin. And like I said, you got 5 cars on the road right now, whatever. You ain't really worried about the cars. Sorry, Nats. Sorry, Marlins. We ain't really worried about y'all right now. Right now it's us and Philly, right, Kev? And we saying, hey man, as long as we can see the Mets. You know what I'm saying? As long as the Mets can see us in the rear view and we can see their tail lights, you good. Because, look, I think what happens with the Braves team, we just expect them just to get it done. Because, hey, man, we look at it as we forget, Kevin, how not easy it was to win the NL East the last 4 years. Yes, they have done it, but it's not like it was a cakewalk. It wasn't. It came down to sometimes the last week of the season. But I will say when it comes to the Braves, I'd rather them be chasing somebody who's not used to being out front like the Mets are, than being the team out front and you just lose, stamina down the stretch. Look, not having Marcell, not having Acuna, that stuff is gonna hurt. But they won 2 out. Listen, they won 2 out of 4. Bobby Cox just wasn't in the building last night to win that series. But I will say, Kevin, too, they showed a lot of fight. I think when you talk about this Braves team, they know this. Look, you're still the defending World Series champs until you're not. You're gonna get teams' best. You're the team right now that's being chased by all the other 29 teams. Forget the teams in your division, but you played. Philly understands we got to keep pace with the Braves before we can even talk about keeping pace with the freaking Mets. So you got to take care of one before you take care of the other. But Kevin, as you mentioned, look, they are keeping pace right now. You still got a nice little stretch of games before you get to June 25th, even though June is next week. So it's not like. But I think that when you talk about this Braves team is what can you build on even in a loss? What can you show some signs of growth even in a loss? I don't want to keep saying even in a loss because I know that, the BJ Bennett is not going to come out of me. But, Kevin, I just think that as long as – and I hate to say it, as long as they ain't getting blown out. I mean, games in baseball this year, they're looking like the NBA playoffs. It be 10-1, 12-2. I'd be like, what in the world is going on? So for me, I just like that the Braves are showing some fight. Ronald Acuna Jr. is not being in is always going to hurt. You want him to take his time. And that's kind of what we said, Kevin, putting him in and out lineup. His body don't even know how to respond. Baseball is a day in, day out grind. Marcel, not being lineup hurts, but I think this Braves team understand the task at hand. Make sure you can still see the Mets. Make sure those Phillies understand we got to put some distance between us and them. But all they can control is what they can control. Get to the next series, man. Hopefully start off with a dub.
And again, the Marlins, a team that you've traditionally had a decent amount of success against, just took 2 out of 3 from them in Florida this past weekend. So again, baseball. I was going to say baseball is the ultimate test of patience. It might be second only to your children. They are the ultimate test of your patience, but. You got the long grind of a season. Ben, as you said, look, you can't take every game as the most devastating loss you've ever had, and you can't take every win as a sign that you're going to be, rolling off 10 in a row as this team is showing. But man, I would love to see 3 in a row at some point during this stretch because I feel like it's there for them to take. We've got again a lot to get to as we head into the weekend. Falcons news out there. They get a deal done with Troy Anderson. We'll talk about that. Kirby, boy, is there anybody better to be, as Ben likes to say, maybe only Mrs. Kirby is more excited about what's coming than Kirby Smart because he is going to get paid. We're going to talk about that coming up here in hour number 1 as well. Of course, Ben, it is Memorial Day weekend as well, a time to reflect and have a solemn remembrance of those who have given their lives so that we can talk about baseball on a Friday afternoon so that we can, have our cookouts and things that we like to do. And just to take a moment and, pay your respects to those who have gone before and paid that ultimate sacrifice. And again, I hope you take some time to do that this weekend, but wanted to mention that right here off the jump of the show about Memorial Day this weekend. And again, if you have the opportunity, make the opportunity. How about that? Make the opportunity to attend a lot of remembrances and take a moment to remember those who have gone before and made sure that we are still, the freest country out there. We're able to come on and do things we love. We're able to disagree back and forth, bicker at one another, and still move on and hopefully go about our day despite those differences and not face a whole lot of backlash either way. Social media might be another story, but in our daily lives, that we are free to do the things we are allowed to do.
Absolutely, Kevin. I couldn't say it better than you just said. I think the greatest thing too is if you can put quote petty differences aside on a day of remembrance, you can do it every day. I don't think it's necessarily us having difference of opinion. We've been having difference of opinion before we even knew what opinions were. And all of a sudden it's, if you don't think like me, it's something. No. It's something wrong with all of us. If we did a weirdo of the week, your name is coming up, my name is coming up. But I will say, whenever we can just, thank those who did pay the ultimate sacrifice so that we can have these liberties. I think sometimes we've grown to only know one thing in our lifetime, Kevin. That's freedom in a way to where we don't really appreciate it sometimes. You shouldn't have to look at other places and say, oh my God, you hear? Yeah, that's what it could be, but it's not. We over here, and I will say, we talk about a day like Memorial Day. I mean, it just, it humbles you. Because these are people who, sign their name on the dotted line without any question, understanding. Look, man, you understand what you're doing, him or her, sir or ma'am, and they did it. So all you can do is say the ultimate thank you. I just think that sometimes, we get so caught up in pettiness that we forget. Life is going on with or without these things we be going back and forth with. And just because you on this side and I'm on that side, we still in the same America, right? Okay, so we could just calm that down ultimately. But hey, man, Memorial Day is, obviously a bittersweet, but you always appreciate the fact that there are people out there who are definitely one of the million, and we can't say thank you enough. Obviously, we get to do what we do and come here and talk about the Braves and Kirby Smart and football because, hey, man, because somebody made somebody made the ultimate sacrifice for me and you, Kevin, they didn't even know us. We get to have the freedom and the liberties that we do have, so we can't say thank you enough.
Absolutely. We've got so much to get to here on 3 and Out. We'll continue forward. The Falcons, very interesting offseason, as we've talked about a lot on this show, but I want to get Ben's thoughts on Troy Anderson because a lot of it, you go watch the video, looks really, really good. We talked to D. Orlando Ledbetter yesterday. Said, look, he's still learning the position. How much upside is there with a guy you brought in the second round? Used high draft capital on him to bring in and play linebacker. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Falcons going through OTAs. I see a lot of, I think somebody took a run at Lamar Jackson, Ben, for not being at OTAs. And Lamar said, it's voluntary. I will be there when it's time. I mean, we love to knock on quarterback for not being there, but I did see somebody took a run at Lamar Jackson for that. But the Falcons going through OTAs, Ben, and Troy Anderson, he signs his deal with the Atlanta Falcons today, second-round pick out of Montana State. We talked to D. Orlando Ledbetter, AJC, yesterday. Said, look, he's still learning to play the linebacker spot. I know you've watched the tape on him, Ben. When you're your second-round draft pick is still learning how to play the position, what does that say to you? Second-round pick coming in, is it kind of up in the air? What's going to happen? I mean, when you hear that kind of phrase, hey, he's still learning to play linebacker, what does that kind of mean to you as a former player?
That means he's raw. That means he has all the tools, right? Like Kevin, it's one of those things to where, you take a baseball player who, hey man, look, he's got all the raw tools, but he's got to learn bringing at everything they throwing at him. He got to have good plate appearances. When he's out there, whatever he plays in the field, I want him to play the position at a high level. The same thing about a guy like Troy Anderson. How I know he can play? Montana State, second-round pick. So I know he can play. But, I don't critical Kale showed me. He played everything. I was like, is this high school? It ain't high school, obviously. I'm talking about in high school, you could play quarterback, tight end, linebacker. And he really did it. And did it really, really efficiently. What Troy Anderson's going to run into is this. He's in college. He was the best player on the field most of the time he was on it. That's no longer the case. He was one of probably the most athletic guys on the field every time he was on the field. That's no longer the case. What they're going to have to do with him is say, all right, Troy, look, everybody in the NFL is a project. I don't care who you are. The difference is a lot of the speed of the game, I don't know how the speed is out there in his conference. You finna get Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette. Like, these are the guys that's in your division. I mean, so I think that what happens with him is it's them telling him, look, we going to coach you hard. But Kevin, if he can put it together, he going to be one. Because there are certain things you can't coach. 6'4", 240, hey, I mean, I got the height of a DN, and I got a nice size on me, so I can take on blockers. I can take all the punishment. Because the thing about the NFL that people don't understand, there's a certain level of punishment that everybody takes. Everybody. Outside of kickers and punters and long snappers. So people go, why guys so big? Because, dude, I got to take the punishment and be able to keep getting up. That's why you lift weights and all this. But from what I've seen, Kevin, from college, and the kid is athletic. I mean, he got some wheels, too. He can run. So I think what they're trying to do with Troy is to say, look, right now we can kind of take it slow a little bit because, it's the summertime, it's mini camp. Bro, we trying to get you up to training camp. It's going to come fast. It's going to come often. Because, Kevin, another thing, too, Arthur Smith really didn't play a lot of the starters. Troy Anderson is going to be a starter. Deion Jones is out right now, so he's getting a lot more reps than he would have gotten. But all it means is he's raw. All it means is right now his athleticism is so incredible, he can get away with that stuff from where he can't. You can't get away with that now. Now, hey, man, I need you to be in this gap. No, I need you to see it. I need you to read your keys and hit it. I don't need you to be out there thinking. Right now, you can think a little bit. Hesitation in the NFL will get you beat. It will get you beat So right now, he's thinking a lot. Everything is happening fast. As the coaches say, I know you want the money, right? Yeah, well, then you're going to want what come with it. You a second-round pick, which means you're the top 64 pick. Outside of you, Joe Montana don't know what Montana State is, okay? So all I'm saying is we want to make sure that he understands, one, how to play the game, how to play it at a high level, and how to take coaching. Because the thing about the National Football League, now everybody's livelihood is on the line, Kevin. Like I said, I mean, I think Mike Heimerdinger was my offensive coordinator. May he rest in peace my rookie year. And he kept it a buck. He said, Troop, guys like you, oh, man, I can get new contracts, new houses, contract extensions, but because of guys like you, I can also get fired. Because they're going to say, well, if he has all these tools, why is it not coming together? I'm not saying Troy Anderson is going to be the reason why, but he has that type of upside, Kevin. And I think if you are Atlanta, you're saying, all right, this is the year, if any, we can take a chance on a guy that's a wild card because we're not looking to do that much of the team. But if we can develop this kid and turn him into a player, And I think it shows that I'm gonna give the scouts and Terry Fondo a lot of credit because, like I said, from what I've seen on tape, the kid can play, right? And I think that what he's doing, coming from playing where he's playing, he's waving a flag for guys in his conference saying, "Hey, man, I'm doing it for more than just me." Like a Carson Wentz, So I think that's another thing too is you don't hear a lot of those guys because they got to pan out, and he represents a full conference out there doing it, but.
Sure.
What I'm saying, Kevin, if he can put it together, he can be really, really special.
I look at it, Ben, as well, and say when you see guys like that, athletically very gifted, how quickly does he have an impact at the National Football League level? Because as you said, to me, that's the biggest concern when you see guys from schools like that. It's not that they can't play; it is how quickly can they adjust to the fact that, again, and the same could be said for the SEC and ACC players. How quickly do you adjust to the fact that everybody's as fast as the fastest player you went up against in college, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. How quickly do you think he can have an impact on a team that is looking for impact at the linebacker spot?
While I think it could be instant, I think you got to, it's going to be ebbs and flows, right? Because he is still a rookie, right? So every rookie is going to have a rookie curve. I think what happens now, you got the guys like the Micah Parsons coming out, and they instant. It's like, man, this kid can play linebacker, kid can play defensive end. That can't be the barometer. The defensive rookie of the year can't be the barometer of all defensive rookies. Just like the offensive rookie of the year can't be the barometer for all offensive rookies. But I think, Kevin, it's like this. I need a guy that can run. I need a guy with size. I need a guy with athleticism. I need a guy with speed. There was a kid, I don't know. He plays for Kansas City, and I showed you the video when they said, "Man, what do you bring to the kingdom?" He said, "Listen, man, he said, what did he say? He said, I love to hit people. He said, I'm coming with a mentality of, I just want to run and hit. If Troy Anderson can say, look, coach, I like to run, I like to hit people. All right, I like the way you think, but I need you to make sure that you can have that controlled chaos. Meaning, I want you to be chaotic." But it's got to be in the control area. Because the thing about these guards, they want you to run into them full speed, and you're going to stop right. Boop, you're going to stop right there. You got to learn how to shed blocks. You got to learn how to read keys. You got to learn how to drop back in coverage. You got to learn how to be, a thumping linebacker and a guy that can cover. We need you to be, unfortunately, young man, we need you to be everything on the defense that doesn't have much to work with. What?
And Ben, you look at the linebacker spot, too. It seems like, again, I know it goes through a rotation, but it seems like linebackers have become a less sexy position. We're all worried about the front four. We're all worried about the back four, but it wasn't all that long ago. You're talking about the Ray Lewises, the Zach Thomases, the Brian Urlachers, of the world who are out there dominating as the middle linebacker, as inside linebackers. Why does it seem like they've taken kind of a step back in terms of importance, where you look at those guys who have been in the league that played that inside linebacker spot, who could be high impact guys from the inside, but it seems like most teams nowadays you're getting guys like, who is that guy? Like, your inside linebackers are not guys that are household names the way they were on a lot of good teams, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Because I think everything goes through a shift. Like every position goes through a shift to where the glory is. Because at one point, Kevin, Luke Kuechly, he was the gold standard. Then you had, a guy like Navarro Bowman, and you had, what's his name, Pat? I can't remember his last name. Out of Ole Miss, I'm just drawing a blank. Patrick Willis out of freaking out of Ole Miss. Then you talk about the Bobby Wagner who's still doing it. You got certain guys that are still doing it, but when you said it, those are the glory year linebackers. Brian Urlacher, Hall of Famer. Zach Thomas, gonna be. Ray Lewis, arguably the greatest linebacker. But they're all in the league at the same time, balling at the same time. And I think that's what it is. You had a bunch of them, but now they're gone. Or you had some real good ones. You need them doing it all at the same time. Luke Kuechly hit everything that moved from the time in college to the end of the NFL. If it moved, he hit it. But then Bobby Wagner was out there with Seattle. You got the Kendricks kid out there, in Minnesota. You got like guys like Devin White, and they go another guy like Devin White. And that's the thing. Devin White, 6 feet, 6'1", about 220, right? But what he lacks in height, he makes up in quickness and athleticism and ability. The thing about a guy like Troy is, in a sense, you usher in new line. It's almost like the guys in college body just form to whatever it needs to be, depending on who's balling.
I understand that, but it seems like, again, there's not a priority on inside linebacker play. It's all about get me to the quarterback and cover on the outside. Meanwhile, tight ends are having record production. And where are they going? Right where those linebackers are supposed to be.
Yeah, Kevin. And look, the one thing you don't have to worry about is this. It used to be a time to where linebacker production was based on how many tackles, right? How many tackles I have in a year. Now, Kevin, is, hey man, can you get us off the field on third down? By any means necessary. If that's stopping the running back, if that's stopping the production of pass catches in the middle of the field, that's where the catches are going to happen. Can you run with a slot receiver down the center? The best linebacker I can say as far as like did everything was Derrick Brooks. He did everything. Tampa 2, a.k.a. the Tampa Bucks, got named after Monty Kiffin, the father of Lane Kiffin, and the orchestrator of it all was not Warren Sapp, was not John Lynch, was not Simeon Rice. It was Derrick Brooks, meaning I'm going to be right here if they try to do that check down. Or they finna throw it to the tight end down the center. No, the hell they not, because 55, he's standing right there. And I just think that, Kevin, sometimes a linebacker is like a shutdown corner. When you got a guy that can do it all, you know how much better your defense is? Because he's everywhere. You don't believe me? Nakobe Dean for Georgia last year. He did everything. Not saying he didn't have help. I'm not taking nothing away from, Jordan Davis and company, but think about this. Nakobe Dean was the best player on that defense. That's taking nothing away from Javon Walker or Jordan Davis. You take Nakobe Dean off, it's a total different defense because Jordan Davis don't cover. Javon Walker don't cover. They make pass. They rushing the pass and stopping the run. The line of scrimmage. Nakobe Dean is hitting everything Walker. So I just think that, Kevin, you're looking for that hybrid linebacker that can cover the tight end because he's just as big as the tight end, can run and hit because he's built to run and hit. Oh, and also I need you to be able to blitz and line the defense up, and you don't come off the field. So every dollar you just earned, Mr. Anderson, sir, you're going to earn every bit of it starting right now.
Yeah, to me, he's very, again, he is as interesting to me as Drake London as a draft pick because you went there in the second round. And again, it's just a natural reaction of fans when they say, and with the 50, I think he was 58th pick out of Montana State. Like that's the first reaction when it's not a Power 5 school, seemingly. It's like, and out of Montana State, because you just don't get a chance to see him play that much. But as you said, 6'4, 235, 240, big body linebacker has a chance to come in, and people rave about his athleticism. And guys like Mel Kiper and other had a first round grade on him. Ben, as a linebacker. So if he can live up to some of that, could be a big get there for the Atlanta Falcons in the second round. He signs his deal with the Falcons earlier today. We mentioned earlier, as you head into the weekend, a lot of people are getting ready for an exciting weekend. Maybe none more, as Ben likes to say, than Mrs. Kirby, because Kirby apparently very close to inking a new deal with Georgia. What are we looking at here? What could it be? We'll break it down next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's a good time to be a college football coach. I will say that, Ben Troop, as we look around the landscape and a lot of news made yesterday about Georgia and Dr. Moorhead saying, hey, working on a new contract for Kirby Smart. It's going to be commensurate with other contracts for guys who have won a national championship. So you try to figure that out. Nick Saban makes 10.6. Brian Kelly makes 9.5. Jimbo makes $9 million. I think that's the starting point, right? I mean, I think it's at least 9, Ben Troop. And I was talking with Christian. I was like, man, Brian Kelly's making 9.5. He goes, well, that's what LSU had to do to get him away from Notre Dame. I was like, well, good for Kirby, because if I'm Kirby's agent, I'm going, Brian Kelly, he hasn't won a national championship. I have. I mean, I think you're starting this thing at over $9.5 million, and you're getting as close to Nick Saban money as I think you could possibly get. Now, Kirby won a national championship. That's worth a lot. But again, in this era, Nick Saban's won multiple. I think that just is what it is. Plus, Nick's going to jump right past you if you get more than him. Anyway, because that's the way the deal is. But any chance this is less than what Brian Kelly gets? I can't imagine that it is.
It won't be. Well, the people need to start looking at these big time coaching contracts like a big time free agent quarterback in the NFL. Whoever is the next up gonna get the most money. Now, I said whoever's the next up gonna get the most money, but the GOAT gonna end up with more money. Because isn't it ironic, right? And I'm not taking nothing away from Dabo Swinney. I'm not taking away from Coach O, even though he's no longer coaching right now. I'm not taking away from Jimbo Fisher. I'm not taking away from Kirby Smart. All those guys combined don't have as many as freaking Nick Saban. All those guys combined. And I think sometimes, Kevin, it's like the recency bias. Look, I get it. Georgia has been trending upward since Kirby, outside of his first year. I mean, they've been incredible. I just think that sometimes we forget just how dominant Nick Saban has been. Most guys just want to win one. He did that at LSU. And then he come over here to freaking Alabama's. But I will say this. Because two things are helping Kirby Smart. One, just won a natty. And two, Kevin, perception. You know Georgia's going to be right behind Nick Saban. Because people go, oh, they have to be. But this is to put it into context, though, how it's great to be a head coach. Billy Napier's at Florida. He hasn't coasted down. He's making 7.1. He ain't won the East. He ain't won a game. And I just think that sometimes, Kevin, when you think about what Kirby Smart, think about Kirby Smart, probably's not getting this type of extension if he doesn't win a natty. Like, if he don't win a natty, he gets an extension. It ain't like this one. You know a contract extension is big when you talk about it on one day and you're still trying to finalize it the next day. But he earns it. I mean, he's more than worth it. I know you was asking me earlier in the week, should Kirby Smart be the highest paid? No. But it's not like he ain't getting his cheese. I remember, like Kevin, when $1 million for a coach was a lot. Like, he got a what? He got $1 million? Man, they get $1 million bonuses based on what they do in the postseason. Because $10 million is what I think he's probably gonna get at the end of the day, somewhere in the $10 million range. What may happen, because this is what Georgia's really saying. All right, now we giving it to you, but so what happens if he wins another one? Do they go back to the? I think you got, it's kind of like NIL. You got to set some type of ceiling, Kevin, because Georgia gonna say, listen, they got oil in Texas. Okay, we ain't got none over here in Georgia, so we appreciate you, but at a certain point, what you expect us to give you? I don't know, 20. So congratulations to him, though. Mrs. Smart, look, they already probably got the big house. Kirby don't pay for anything. Everything he goes comp. Everywhere he fly is private, and everywhere he eat is free. Things of that nature.
I was going to say, you win the national championship in the state of Georgia for the Georgia Bulldogs. You can stretch that 8, 9, 10 million a long ways when you're not paying for anything.
I mean, listen, all I'm saying is when people start talking about like why it pays to be a head coach in college football, it's definitely major college football, aka the SEC. Brian Kelly coming in with cheese, never won a national championship, but when you pull him from Notre Dame, that comes with a price. But no, I'm happy for all the coaches. Definitely a guy like Kirby Smart. At the end of the day, you know, everybody that had something to say about Kirby Smart's wife back in the day saying, girl, you don't need to talk to him. Who's winning now? She trusted her gut. And look what happened. I'm just playing. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with Kirby Smart. But this thing, though, Kevin, this is crazy, right? Kirby Smart gets this type of extension because he won to Georgia. Could you imagine what Brian Kelly would get if he went to LSU? Could you imagine what Billy Napier get if he went? That's what I'm saying. It's like, hey man, at the end of the day, when I get 7.1 million or 9.2 million, I ain't won the East or the West. Life is good, people. And Billy Napier ain't got no state tax.
Yeah, 100%. Look, and again, the cost of doing business to get a quality coach. That's why it's amazing. When you hear we laugh all the time when you hear fans go, we just need to get us a Nick Saban type. Well, one, those don't go walking around every day. And two, the quote Nick Saban types are all making over $9 million. Like you got to be in a special category of school to pay your coach that kind of money. And Ben, I went back and looked it up because we talked about this earlier in the week when it was like, hey, the cost of doing business, especially in the SEC, is going up. Back in 2006, which doesn't, in my brain, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it is. But 14 years ago, the average head coaching salary in Major D1, now that's all 130 schools at the FCS level, $950,000. And you go, $950,000. That was 2006. Here we are in 2022. It's over $2 million. So the cost of doing business to get a head coach, the average, it's over $2 million. So it's more than doubled in 14 years. And you're seeing that cost going up, not only at the head coaching level, but Ben, how about this? Todd Monken. Obviously, you had you talk about development. You just had a walk-on quarterback win you a national championship. You had an offense that's, developing tight ends, offensive. Todd Monken's getting a raise to $2 million a year. And you go, I remember when it was news, Ben. Remember when Dabo, this doesn't seem like that long ago. Remember when Dabo came out and said, I'm giving my coordinators $1 million each. You're doing what? The guys that aren't the head coach? Yeah, I'm giving my coordinators $1 million each. And everybody at that time thought that was revolutionary, that you had obviously coordinators making more than head coaches at other schools. Todd Monk is going to get $2 million, not to coach the team, to coach 11 guys, essentially, on the offensive side of the ball. Did a fantastic job. But, Ben, just to put it in perspective, when you talk about competing in the college football realm, Todd Monken getting $2 million to coach one side of the ball, he will make more than the average head coach. The average head coach in the AC, the Mountain West, the Sun Belt, Conference USA, and the MAC. And I think there's a lot of coaches. There's a few coaches in the Pac-12 that may not make $2 million as a head coach. Now, I know there's some that, David Shaw out there at Stanford's up there in the $9 million range. I think, why did I just, I dropped like at USC.
Yeah, Dan Lanning might be making a nice little penny out there.
$20 million. So, but $2 million a year gets you the top coordinator out there, $2 million. And like I said, there's coaches that are head coaches that aren't making that much trying to compete there at the major college level. So when people say, we just need to go do this and that, again, if you're a program, that's been, this is why when you say what Jared Binko did was amazing, Clay Helton was the head coach at Southern Cal. The coordinators are making $1 million deals, and you got him to come to Georgia Southern and be the head coach. That is a hard thing. Again, what mid-major conference team is going to pry Todd Monken away?
It's not going to be many. It's not
bottom half potential P5 schools are going to pry Todd Monken away. They can't pay more than $2 million. That is job security and locking guys up at the coordinator spot. The only way Todd Monken at this point is leaving it is for the NFL, or if a job like Penn State or something like that opens up where they have big money, big dollars. So good on the University of Georgia locking it up. But again, you just talk about the explosion in money, and you start seeing coordinators now, big time coordinators, $2 million. We have come a long way in the amount of money in a short amount of time that people are sinking into these programs, Ben.
And the thing about it is too, Kevin, I mean, look at what it does for the reputation of a guy like Todd Monken. You don't think that every coordinator, not just offense, every coordinator in college football know, dude, they're giving them $2 million at Georgia. Now, when people go, hey man, where's Todd Monken? He's in the driver's seat. The four coordinators in college football that will get the most love: offensive, defensive coordinator for Alabama, offensive, defensive coordinator for Georgia, right? So when you think about it, Dan Lanning goes, hey man, I'm doing it the Kirby way. What you mean? I'm gonna just wait till I get a head coaching job. What? Yeah, because listen, Kevin, I think I think you were doing a game. You and Christian was doing a game that Friday when it broke that Dan Lanning was the new head coach at Oregon. And when I tell you the Georgia fans lost it, the AJC reported people like the AJC, they're gonna feel bad, when they lose all their credit. No, I don't think the AJC is gonna put their reputation on the line for reporting Dan Lanning as head coach at Oregon. And what was he? Now it was during the run trying to get to the national championship, but think about that. Dan Lanning was making at least a meal, and people go, hey man, what is he gonna go up to? Probably go up to about 6, 7. Why? Because he's in the premier spot. There isn't more scrutiny on anybody in the country than offensive defensive coordinators for Alabama and Georgia. They got the most scrutiny on them. Todd Monken, I remember when he first got there, is he going to be? No, he has elevated the status quo of that offense because he helped them get to the national championship. Like you say, Kevin, outside of Lincoln Riley having back-to-back number one overall picks in Heisman, who else can have a walk-on win the Natty? Todd Monken. I'm just saying. I just think that, shout out to Georgia, man. Georgia understands. Listen, all our coordinators are being looked at. All our coaches are being looked at. I can't have a $10 million head coach and a $900,000, coordinator. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Because people are saying, wait a minute. So sometimes
last year, Ben, if he didn't take a head coaching job, Dan Lanning's probably over $2 million with the job he did with that defense.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing about it is, you told Kevin, is once again, we talk about the powers that be, right? We talk about the teams that have unlimited everything. Coordinators making a meal is a grip, not even making two in 2022, which means 5 years from now, 3 years from now, it's going to be, think about it. If the coach is making 10, coordinator at least got to make 2. Coach make 15, coordinator at least got to make 3, 4. So pretty soon, guys going to be like, I get $2 million and I only have one side of the ball. Hell yeah, I'll take that every day because all the scrutiny falls on me if we don't play well on offense, but all the blame falls on the head coach. If we look, hey, I'll take the money. Because sometimes, Kevin, the scrutiny that comes with being in certain positions in certain schools, I think the money definitely makes up for everything you got to deal with.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you saw that with $2 million, and I don't have to I don't have to go answer the questions. Sign me up for that. And again, Todd Monken getting $2 million. I'm very interested to see what the final deal is here with Kirby. It's not going to be more than Nick, but I dare say it won't be far off. It will not be far off. And you better believe coaches got egos. Oh, you better get me more than Brian Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure Kirby's talking to his agent going, listen, man, like I got a natty. First time that's happened here in 40 years. Brian Kelly has won what? Won a lot of games at Notre Dame. Does he have as many playoff wins as me? Does he have national championship? Nope. He's getting 9.5. You figure that out for yourself. I think it's going to be at least 10, as you said, Ben, maybe a little bit closer. Again, same as at like 10-6. I wouldn't be surprised if Kirby's up there in the 10-2, 10-3 range.
I would say about like 10-1, 10-1, 10-2. All I'm saying is it pays literally and figuratively to be a head coach in the SEC because they are getting cheap. I don't know who the lowest paid. Probably Vanderbilt, probably, but because they can't pay it. But at the same time, Kevin, like I said, Billy Napier at 7.1. All he's done is move from the boot to Gville. I'm telling you, people. But obviously, those expectations that come with it's like everybody that want to make $100K. And listen, $100K, $100,000 don't come with 9 to 5 responsibilities. People, you think you want to make the big bucks? Look at Kirby. Just look at the color of his hair. It's either way. It's going to end up gray, not because he's old, because that's how much stress you under. But shout out to Kirby Smart for getting this money somewhere. Mrs. Smart is saying, I made the smart decision, figuratively, and now the Kirby Smart banking truck just backed up, and they're going to be swimming in the money.
Absolutely. I will get that extra pair of shoes if I want to. We got more to come. Here it is, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Glad you are with us. A lot more to come here on the show here on this Friday afternoon. We'll get to take three. Obviously, the Jimbo Nick stuff continues because, anytime you can get one over on the other one, Ben Troop, why the heck not, right? And so we'll get to that coming up in the second hour of the program. But obviously some college baseball going on. Georgia Southern still going in the Sun Belt tournament. They have a really good chance. We won't know till Monday, but they have a really good chance of hosting a regional. Only 16 of those handed out and could be in there with Georgia Tech. So it could be an interesting late week of baseball next week if Georgia Southern lands that regional. So keep your eyes out on that, Ben Troop, as again, we'll know there more on Monday when they have the field selection, whether or not Jared Binko and company were able to land that.
That would be huge, right, Kevin? I mean, when you think about it, 16 regionals are handed out a year. You telling me Georgia Southern going to have potentially Georgia Tech and Georgia at their place, obviously with a fourth team. That would be huge. I mean, think about it. I know all the headlines usually be in Athens. I know the schedule. I know the schedule in college football this year is going to be all about Georgia Tech, but baseball with the Georgia Southern Eagles, that would be incredible. And Jared Binko will be all over it. Hey, I hope they do get a regional, Kevin, because it shows that when it comes to every other sport not named other than football, it's free game. And that's why you love how, baseball and track and basketball and things of that nature, you throw away the conferences and all. If you can play, you can play. A changeup is a changeup, a sinker is a sinker. But if Jared Binko and company, think about it. So Athens and the ATL got to come down I-16. To be down there in Statesboro, that would be incredible.
Absolutely. And again, we'll see. We'll have to wait till Monday in the selection show to see where it comes out. But Georgia Southern's still playing. I think they have App State later today, I believe, in the semifinals. And again, credit goes to a lot of these leagues who are having to get it in with rain, trying to cram as many games in as you possibly can to get this done. So a lot of credit goes to those ADs and conferences this week. We'll come back. We'll take three right around the corner. Look at some Jaguars. Picked up a lot of guys. Who's going to have a chance to flourish for them in that passing game? We'll get to that hour two as well. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. You can hit us up on Twitter as well, at Pigskin Radio. Also, catch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel, at ESPN Coastal, and you can watch us each and every day live there on YouTube. Subscribe and get that notification every time we go live here on 3 and Out. So a lot to get to here this hour. Look at the Jags. Certainly look at Jimbo and Nick. Boy, if they're going back and forth about everything, why not steal a recruit or so here as well? So we'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But first, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. As Ben, we get to take 3 coming up. Take 1. The Warriors, they're moving on in the NBA Finals once again. Where do you rank them among the all-time great dynasties here in this run?
Definitely in the top 10. I think sometimes obviously you're not going to have a better dynasty than what the Bulls did. I mean, you talk about the Lakers with Magic. You talk about the Lakers, with Kobe and Shaq. I know people don't like it. You talk about what the bad boy Detroit Pistons, that was a dynasty of a team coming from a franchise, didn't have much to really go with. And I just think that the dynasty of LeBron James going to 10 straight freaking finals, but they in the top 10. I think the thing about Steph Curry that people don't like to give him credit for is how consistent he is. He is the greatest shooter we've ever seen. He's going to his 6th NBA Finals. He's trying to win his first Finals MVP, and he's trying to win his 4th title. I think he is. I can say he is the LeBron of his era. Because Kevin, coming out of Davidson, I thought he was going to be a good player. I didn't think he was going to be this. And Steph is that dude. And the thing about Steph, he's so good for the NBA because if Steph walks in the room, you say, okay, I can see a basketball player looking like him. Then LeBron walks in, you go, who is that? Oh, that's LeBron. No. More players are gonna be looking like Steph. Might not shoot like Steph, but yeah, Kevin, I think we downplay how well a team like Golden State has done, and they've done it really through the draft. Clay, Draymond, and Steph all got drafted by Golden State. I'm not taking nothing away from the Andrew Wiggins of the world and the Iguodala's of the world and the KDs of the world, but they did it with the Splash Brothers and Draymond. Then David Green, who was an all-star with Golden State, got shipped off to the New York Knicks because of Draymond Green, a second-round pick out of Michigan State. So, yes, Kevin, they are definitely in the top 10, probably closer to the top 5, maybe 6 or 7. But, hey, man, most guys have never even played in the finals. They're going to their 6th finals. Yeah, man, they definitely in my top 10.
Yeah, I think nobody's going to top the Bulls, who three-peated twice. And Jordan going in and out both times during that. I mean, that to me is right up there. I mean, you have the Celtics run, the Lakers with Magic. As you said, the Lakers have kind of had 2 separate ones that have run through there. I know most people don't consider them this, even though they really are, Ben, but where do you because they did, I think, a little quieter, but where do you put the Spurs when you compare them to?
Oh my God. I mean, they once again, and that's what I'm saying. And we really get to dive in. The ones that jump out at you, obviously, Mike, you're talking about the Showtime Lakers. You talk about the Celtics, then you start talking about the Lakers coming back with Kobe and Shaq. Then you see what LeBron did. Then you see what D Wade and LeBron did. So I just think that it's so unheralded, Kevin, because nobody's flashy. Manu ain't flashy. Tim Duncan don't even talk. David Robinson wasn't flashy. So I just think at the end of the day, shout out to them Spurs, man. I mean, for everybody that's talking about, listen, may Kobe rest in peace. Kobe had 5 finals. Kobe won 5 finals. So did Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan had 5. He's a 5-time NBA Finals winner. I think a 2-time Finals MVP. So yes, sorry about the Spurs, man. I mean, you know how it is, Kevin. Nobody on their team make waves. So the biggest wave they made is getting rid of Kawhi Leonard, who I think won his 5th final. So shout out to them Spurs.
Well, no, I just brought him up because it's that's one you forget about.
Yeah,
you don't think about.
And it was a different cast of characters or whatever. So yes, very, 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 very unheralded. But yes, definitely in my top 10 as well. Sorry, Steph and company. Y'all got some unique company that you guys were involved with.
All right, moving along, take 2. Which wide receiver or pass catcher, however you want to define it, Ben, will have the biggest impact on the Jaguars passing game. And there's a bunch. You got Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, guys that are still there, Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault. Who's going to have the biggest impact here with Doug Peterson taking over?
I think it's going to be Evan Ingram. I think, Kevin, the one thing about Doug Peterson that people forget about with his time when they won the Super Bowl, I know it's about Alshon Jeffrey and company. They had 3 tight ends. They had Burton, they had Selleck, right? And I mean Zach Ertz. So they had the 3-headed monster at tight end, even though Evan Ingram, he's going to have some help. I'm just looking at the one guy who's just going from one system to another system, from one quarterback to a better quarterback, to a much harder division to a much easier division. And Kevin, we talked about the tight end position becoming more of a weapon. It's not like Evan Ingram don't got the talent. He was a first-round pick coming out of Ole Miss, 5 years ago. I just think that it's all about fit. It's all about system. And I just think that with a guy with his skill set that has the ability to get down the middle of the field, a true pass catcher tight end, for my money, I think it's going to be Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I think Christian Kirk could be it. We'll talk a little bit about this a little bit later, but Christian Kirk coming in, he's getting paid like a number one. Ben, and you've talked about that. Number one guy is going to get number one targets. So he's got a chance to step out. Like, it could go bust. Again, look, I'm not here to say it's guaranteed, but I think a guy who's going to get more passes thrown to him than he has in his career going to have a chance to make a big, big impact there in Jacksonville. All right, Ben, little fun exercise on a Friday. We'd like to hit the holidays. Today is National Road Trip Day. So I'm going to give you 4 weeks. I know you can have to say you look at the schedule, but I'll give you 4 weeks, 4 college football games. Again, I don't go BJ where it's like, well, I could go here and it's right next door. No, 4 weeks, 4 college football games. Give me the ultimate 4-stop road trip for college football.
Oh man, I mean, Kevin, you already know that. But let me just go ahead and put the front runner shoes on. I'm going to Jacksonville. Right? I'm going Florida, Georgia, right? And in fact, I don't got to drive, but Jack, I'm definitely going Florida, Georgia, just cause I got to go to the Iron Bowl. Like I want to feel that atmosphere, how crazy it is. Now this is when it gets hard. I only get 2 more. You got the Red River rivalry, which is a really, really good game. But for me, Kevin, I'm sorry, man. I want to go to the Egg Bowl. I mean, I've seen so many things, and my number 4 is going to be a little different. I want to go to the Civil War. For those who don't know, that's Oregon State, right? Because I ain't driving. Kevin already got it set up. We got the tour bus. It's swanky up in that thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
the road trip bus, kick back. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, the road trip bus. So for me. Got great. You got Florida, Georgia, Florida to you Georgia fans. Got the Iron Bowl, got the Egg Bowl, and give me the Civil War. I think Oregon State is so undervalued because both teams ain't usually good at the same time. I don't think it has nothing to do with who got the best record. Give me that. It's probably going to be a little rainy, a little cold, but give me Oregon State.
Yeah, that's good. Again, I'm right there with you. If I'm doing the ultimate college football, like I got to see it. Georgia, Florida is going to be right there. The Iron Bowl is going to be. I think those are 2 that you just got to put on there. Like, hey, I'm road tripping to Jacksonville. I'm road tripping to Tuscaloosa or Auburn. Either way, this is where it gets a little different for me, Ben, because I love Southern college football. But for years, I've heard it. Oh, it's the game. The game. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to see what it's all about. Send me to Columbus or Ann Arbor. I would say if I can only go one, I would go to C-Bus. C-Bus for Michigan, Ohio State would be on the road trip. And again, my number 4, man, that is but my top 3 I feel pretty good about. I want to go see one where it's going to be good level football and maybe they just don't like each other. I think this I was trying to kind of remember what I put in there. Did I change my mind? No. Number 4, it's got to be year specific because I want to see it in a specific place. Auburn, LSU at night, Death Valley. Got to go see it. Got to see it.
And Kevin, like I said, we only get 4 if the drug driver is feeling generous. Say, listen, man, you guys tip real well. Being is there a 5th one you want to go to? FAMU homecoming. I would love to. I sure as hell ain't going to ever see no Florida State, even though they right there. Give me FAMU homecoming. Because this is the thing about this, Kevin. When I was at Florida, FAMU homecoming was always the same week of Florida State. Now, obviously, Coach ain't finna let us stay back. If we in Tallahassee, definitely we're not finna drive over to Florida. Ain't nobody got no money. How we gonna get there? I ain't got no money. I just want to experience a FAMU
Well, now you
homecoming.
can use some of that NIL money to get there.
Hey, Kevin. All I'm saying is you would have seen some very large gentlemen getting out some very small cars, but we would have got there though. We would have got there.
So that's the only way we just found out on the show. Only way to get Ben Troop to Tallahassee is for FAMU homecoming.
I went with BJ when Willie Taggart's first game, and for those of you who don't know, BJ is hard to deal with. When he's in Tallahassee, he is insufferable. This boy is just in heaven the whole time. He took smell the grass, smell the air. Yeah, the grass smells like grass, and the air smells a little toxic. We need to get up out of here.
So you got to go to Jacksonville. No, you had said, hey, I'm going to work in a trip to Gainesville, but you didn't. You went to Jacksonville instead.
Yeah. Only because Kevin, at the end of the day, I know if I go to Gainesville, I ain't even gonna make it in the game. Like, Ben, where you at, man? Where we at right now? I'm gonna be somewhere just enjoying myself, but I'm just saying, Kevin, I just think that Oregon State might be so very, very undervalued. I think it'd be a great road trip.
That would be an interesting one. Like I said, and you get to see a little bit something different, right? Expand the horizons out there as well. So that's our little college football road trip. That's take 3. We do it each and every day here at this time. Again, go out, enjoy. I mean, it's appropriate. Today is National Road Trip Day as you head into Memorial Day weekend. A lot of folks hit the road and go traveling about. So Ben, we'll come back. I asked you take 2. I want to expand upon that because obviously you got Doug Peterson in. Trevor Lawrence, we've talked about as a big year number 2. A lot of critiques on Jacksonville about how much money they spent on wide receivers who some people say maybe they paid the wrong guys. We'll get to that when we come back. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. We talked about it in take 2 or take 3, Ben, but it was take 2, talking about which wide receiver is going to have the biggest impact there on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you said Evan Ingram, and I looked at it where could it be Christian Kirk? He's a guy that has received a lot of criticism and critique, not him personally, but the Jags have got a lot of criticism about that pick because he's never been a number one. We've talked about this on the show a bunch. He has never been a number one, but he's being paid like a number one. And no doubt Trevor Lawrence is going to be dialing him up maybe a little bit more often as a number one target. Who do you think flourishes in that role? Does it become Evan Ingram? Do they become a tight end centric kind of offense? Or is Christian Kirk a guy who said, look, y'all say I can't be a number one receiver because I've never been treated like a number one receiver?
Oh, I mean, Kevin, the thing about it is I do think Christian Kirk can be a really, really good player. I think he can be the thing about it is when I think number ones, I'm talking about guys who take, who dealing with double teams every other play, if not every play. I'm talking about a guy who understands I'm going to draw a crowd when I'm out there. I'm not saying that Christian Kirk can't be a really, really good receiver, right? But the thing about it is, Kevin, the reason why he got, top 5 receiver money. And unfortunately, in the NFL, we expect your production to match your price tag, your salary cap hit. So that's what they expected him to be. Now, when I look at the receivers, I look at them being more, doing it by committee. I think Zay and Christian and Marvin Jones can be really, really good as a unit. And the reason why I say it is this: I go back to when Matty Ice had, Julio, and he had Roddy White, he had Harry Douglas. Now, true enough, Roddy and Julio are bona fide number one receivers. Harry Douglas was really, really good. And I just think that by committee, because Kevin, the thing about number one receivers, that means I'm gonna get a lot of attention and I'm gonna get a lot of throws. If I'm getting 12 throws a game, I got a really, really good shot. If I got halfway decent hands to have a good year, to have a good game. But I just think that what Evan Ingram brings to the table is a security blanket. You got a guy who's not going to get, double team. They might try to play him, in and out depending on how well he plays, but he can catch the rock. You're not covering Evan Ingram with a linebacker. A safety is too small, and a slot corner, isn't big enough either. So I do think while Christian Kirk and company are going to get a lot of the bulk of the throws, and that's more or less from a perception thing too, Kevin. I got Zay Jones, I got Christian Kirk. They got big contracts. I need to validate these contracts by how many opportunities I give them. Evan Ingram, though, I just think that when you look at what pass catching 2021, first team All-Pro, it wasn't Travis Kelce, it wasn't Darren Waller, it wasn't George Kittle, right? It wasn't any of those guys, right? It was Mark Andrews with the freaking Ravens. Think about that. Somebody go, wait, what? Yes. That's how valuable the tight end position has become. And then when you look at a guy like Hollywood Brown, he's moved on to Arizona. They saying, look, we're tired of your bickering, we're tired of your complaining because your production ain't good enough. Evan Ingram was told by the team that drafted him, we no longer want you, but he still signed a 1 year, it's an $11 million deal. So he's on a proven contract. I want a guy who wants to continue his NFL career. I want a guy who people have counted out, and I want a guy who's in a division that if you can catch the rock at tight end, you got a really, really shot to you got a shot to be really, really special. Think about this. I don't know who the tight end is for Tennessee right now. I don't know who the tight end is for the Colts. I don't know who nobody is for Houston. I couldn't tell you nobody play for them. Evan Ingram is the best tight end in the conference, bar none. Now they did get the kid. Oberquan out of Maryland, but he's a rookie with the Titans. So I just think, Kevin, while Christian Kirk has a shot to be really good, I don't compare. Number ones are not created equal, by the way. Everybody ain't gonna be D-Hop. Everybody ain't gonna be Devontae Adams. Everybody can be, a Cooper Kupp. But a number one means at the end of the year, I lead us in targets, catches, yards, touchdowns. That's what number ones do. They lead in all major categories for that team. I think Christian Kirk is going to get a lot of throws. He's going to get a lot of attention. Kevin, he can live up to it. But I think Evan Ingram going to have to get his production with less throws, less attention, and got a shot to be really, really productive because he can stretch the field. So for my money, I'm going to go with Evan Ingram because he's on a 1 year deal, which means, hey, man, we're willing to give you some money. We're just not willing to give you no security down the line. He's playing for his NFL future. Christian Kirk broke the bank Zay Jones got a nice contract. You still got Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault. But if Evan Ingram can be the player I know he's capable of being with a guy with Trevor Lawrence getting in the rock, we can look back on 2022 and say, what was the best pickup in that offseason? It might be Evan Ingram if he can go out there and deliver.
And I look at the receiving core they put together, Ben, and on paper, you look at it, as you said, Evan Ingram's a headliner. The other guys, you're kind of sitting there like, But if they play up, they could be a very solid unit of guys to go out there and present challenges to the defense. I think, to me, that's what's interesting about Jacksonville is, like, it's set up to be very boom bust, right, with that offense. Like, you got Trevor Lawrence, and if he delivers, could he make some of these guys better? Could some of these guys finally play better on different contracts? Ben, it could work out fantastic with, hey, Matt Ryan made me better. Dan Marino made me better. Peyton Manning made me better as a wide receiver. Why? Because he could throw me open. He could make me, look good. I could make him look good. He could make me look real good. I think that's what we're looking at. If Trevor Lawrence comes out and has the type of season that people think he could, I mean, is this a dangerous passing attack? I mean, or is this, to me, it's just very boom or bust. Like, to me, it could be very good, or it could be, we missed the mark and gave a lot of dudes a lot of money maybe they shouldn't have gotten.
It could be. I mean, you always have that potential. But I'm looking at the AFC South. I'm looking at offensive weapons throughout the league. Right. When I think about the Colts, they got Michael Pittman, they got Jonathan Taylor, and they got Matty Ice. That's going to be a nice. You got the leading rusher from 2021. You got a guy, Michael Pittman Jr., who's, about as good as advertised, and you got a guy that can get in the rock and Matty Ice. You talk about Houston. Once again, people, I do not know who plays for Houston. I'm gonna do some research by Monday. That way I can give you at least a couple of guys not named Derek Stingley Jr. When you talk about the Titans, though, they got Derrick Henry, right? They got Treylon Burks, who replaced A.J. Brown. He's a rookie. You go over to Jacksonville. You got Travis Etienne, James Robinson. That's your two running backs. Then you got Trevor Lawrence. Then you got Evan Ingram. Then you got Laviska Shenault. Then you got Marvin Jones. Then you got Christian Kirk. Then you got Zay Jones. Kevin, I'm telling you, they can get this thing right. They could be, bar none, the best offensive weapons in the AFC side. And listen, I love Matty Ice. I do, right? But you cannot put a price tag on youth. Trevor Lawrence, 22, 23 years old. Evan Ingram is still in his early 20s, 26, 27, right? Laviska Shenault, 22, 23. Christian Kirk, 25, 26. Matty Ice, 36. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I just think that people don't understand. Good teams are a blend of young and veteran players. Now, unless you're the LA Rams, they only want veterans. They don't want rookies outside of Ernest.
But it worked. It worked for them.
It does work. I just think for Jacksonville saying, if we're going to build, we got to build through the draft. We got to have guys that come up in this culture. That way, when veterans come over, the young guys are telling the older guys, this is how we do things over here. We respect you, OG, but this is how we do things over here. And I think, Kevin, if you can get your money's worth from Christian Kirk, you can get your money's worth from Zay Jones, and I think you're going to get your money's worth from Evan Ingram with a guy like Travis Etienne, which I think he's another guy that's going to be really, really special. I'm telling you, Jacksonville could be dangerous because I think too often at times we look at the big names. Big name players got the pair and they got the jail well with their new teams. Guys has been there who can tell them the ropes. Because this is the thing. Everybody they brought in, whether it's Zay Jones, whether it's Evan Ingram, whether it is, Christian Kirk, they believe in Trevor Lawrence. See, those type of conversations I had, hey, man, I like the young kid, man. Yeah, I remember him coming out. They look at how he functioned in a dysfunctional environment in 2021. It was awful. And he's still durable, team player, not a front runner. So I think Trevor Lawrence is the one that makes it all go. Does anybody question, can he make the throws? No. Does anybody question his durability? No. Does anybody question his leadership? No. You give him a head coach that won a Super Bowl. You give him a stable working environment. You give him some weapons. Hey, Kevin, now you address the O-line. You got a shot to be really, really good on offense. Now, the defense, well, that's another story for another day. But I think the offense for Jacksonville got a shot to be really, really good.
But Ben, isn't that the case, though? If these guys perform, isn't that the case that people always talk about for rebuilding teams is, hey, if we're going to be rebuilding, I'd rather lose games 45-42 than 17-3, than 21-10. Because at least you could say, look, defense can come around. We can make a stop. We can win ball games. But how much better do you think that offense can be? Because I think you look at what they did last year, They had some good defensive efforts. Somehow beat Buffalo. I don't know how they did it. But can this team be a team that, even if defensively they're not quite there, can they score week in, week out offensively? If those receivers play like potentially they're capable and Trevor Lawrence continues to develop, as you said, I think they could be a very interesting, very dangerous team. And again, at least in Doug Peterson's first year, trying to recover from the Urban Meyer fiasco, hey, yeah, we're not winning as many games as you want us to, but hey, we're up there. We're scoring 30 points a week. We're making strides. We're at least exciting to watch while we're while we're losing. If that's a thing to say, I know no coach like, yeah, man, we lost, but dang, were we exciting? We look good out there and didn't look like. That's the one thing you hear always, coach say, hey, you'd rather look good and lose. No, hey, we're just trying to do something to get this thing turned around. But no, I think again, not to overstate it, but as you've said a number of times, nobody's scared of anybody in the AFC South. So if you can get Christian Kirk to play like a number one, and he's going to have every opportunity to be that guy, and Evan Ingram develops a tight end game of which the Jaguars really didn't have any, all of a sudden, as you said, Ben, they become a very interesting team offensively. Not as an entirety team, but they become a very interesting team offensively in the National Football League.
Kevin, think about this. You don't know what type of pass rush you're going to have on defense. You're very, very young at the linebacker position, even though you bring over the leading tackler from 2021. You have a very, very young secondary. You're going to score points on offense, and you want to look exciting doing it. That sounds like the Atlanta Falcons in the AFC. That's what it sounds like. The Jags sound just like Atlanta, except they're in the AFC. And the reason why I say it is this. We always get caught up in the end result. No, Kevin, you know, it's half it's half what you do, it's everything and how you look doing it. As long as you look good, that it's like somebody saying, "Oh man, they almost won." Yeah, because in the National Football League, ain't but one team gonna win it, right? It is not gonna be the Jags. We already know that they're not gonna win it all. It's how far away can we get from being the number one? We was a back-to-back number one picks, so if we pick 10 or 11, that's huge strides. If you talk about a team that's still the average age is 23, 24, it's going to be hard to win. But if we can get them veterans to bring along some of them young guys, if we can get them rookies to really cling on to some of those veterans and say, listen, we're going to buy into what Doug Peterson is selling. We in a division that is wide open. Tennessee, if you can stop 22, you win. They had 8 sacks in the playoffs and lost. You stop 22, you win. Houston, outside of not knowing who the hell you're looking at on tape, you're going to have to find a way to beat them. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to make Matty Ice look old. It's going to be hard to do it. But if you can find it, because Kevin, I don't think the Colts, I don't think the Titans, and I know the Houston Texans are not better than Buffalo, and you held that offense to 0 points. They scored 6. You beat them 9. So now it's a different year, different team. They got Von Miller now. I get that part. But I think you got something. Listen, 2 things you did last year. You kept Josh Allen and company out the end zone with a guy in Stephon Diggs, who's really, it was about as good as you can get at receiver, him and Josh Allen. And you told Carson Wentz, sorry, Carson Wentz, we're going to make sure you be on your 3rd team in 3 years because all you had to do is beat us the last game and you get Carson Wentz first game of the year with the Watch Commanders, which still sounds crazy every time I say that. Watch Commanders sound like USFL, not NFL, but that's what we are, Kevin, So I think that when you look at the Jags, they have a lot to look forward to, especially in that division that they're in, which doesn't have a front runner. They just got a beast of a running back in Tennessee, and that's really it. You got a beast at running back, and you got a guy that's trying to keep his career going up there with Matty Ice, which have a really, really good cast around him. The Colts are the best team. I'm not saying they're not, but I just think that if you're Jacksonville, find a way to gel. It's how fast they can come together and gel on offense. Can they play complementary defense? Can they establish a run game? Can they utilize Etienne? Because Trevor Lawrence, he gonna throw that thing around. I don't mind picks. Picks means I'm taking chances. That means I'm not sitting here saying, quote, taking what the defense gives me. And I'm a gunslinger, man. I'm just saying this is what I do. But at the end of the day, Kevin, they cannot. Trent Baalke said, we ain't picking number one again. Well, you did it twice. You better not do it 3 times, but it's going to be your last year as in the GM position with them Jags.
We've got more to come here on 3 and Out. And from what start, hey, if you want to get mad about it, it's already paying dividends in the SEC. We'll talk about that next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Well, it's already paying off. If you're Nick Saban, you go after Jimbo saying, hey, this is what we're doing. And hey, boosters, we need to step up. And I'm not saying that's what happened here, but hey, on the heels of that, Ben, Nick Saban gets the number 3 quarterback in the country.
Whoa.
Committed.
That didn't slip out, though, with all his talk.
Alabama, Eli Holstein, number 59 player in the country, number 3 quarterback, decommitted in March. And all of a sudden is that Alabama.
Wait. Ho. He decommitted in March. Nick Saban ain't say nothing about it. Like, isn't it ironic, Kevin? See, this is what I'm talking about. All this yapping about Texas A&M and Jackson State and Miami basketball. And Coach, and he hold on for a second. What? He said, yeah? Oh, okay. Listen, man, and like I said, we need to do something about it. No question.
Maybe you can see why Jimbo was mad.
Because this is the thing. Let me just say this. Because see, look, let me just say this. Kevin, you've been in radio a long time. You know a lot of guys in the industry. I can give you a name. Oh, yeah. Because radio guys, and I mean that respectfully, being a radio guy myself, you know the people in the industry. So you kind of can know what people do, have done, where they've been, where they're going. It ain't a lot of surprises. You don't think these other coaches know what these players are going to do? They recruiting the same guys. So isn't it ironic that Jordan Addison, his flight was supposed to go straight from Pitt to L.A. No, I made a pit stop in Tuscaloosa. What? I just want to see what it looked like. You're a liar. You want to go down there because they told you to come check it out. Now, he is up at USC. But this is the thing about Nick Saban. All it is, Kevin, is Nick Saban wants the guys he wants, and when he don't get them, he don't like it. That's all he's saying. What you mean? Because the track record. Okay, Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac, Bryce. That ain't enough. What? Well, how many quarterbacks you want? All of them. You want all of them? So I just think that Kevin, yes, the number 3 quarterback, I decommitted. I'm going to Alabama. I ain't mad at it. At the end of the day, if he was going to Florida, I would say, hey, man, shout out to Billy Napier. I get it. But, Kevin, you know, just like I know, it's not so much you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose to certain people. That I don't want to lose to Jimbo. I can lose to Kirby, not Jimbo. Anybody but Jimbo. The 2023 recruiting rankings are going to be very interesting. If Alabama is number 1 a year after talking, they're number 2. My God, you think they can go to number 1? They're number 2 with all this whining. Come on, man. Get it, so I just think that for me, Kevin, it's funny. Nick Saban behind the scenes, he talking to everybody. Back in the day, right? I don't know if they still do this. When I got recruited, you know the team that used to recruit everybody? Notre Dame. If you were a recruit, you got recruited by Notre Dame recruited everybody. I'm talking about everybody. But you know why they did that? They want to be able to say, man, we touched all of them in a sense like this. Oh, man, we want to be able to say we know about them. The thing about Nick Saban, this is what he's really saying. They can't do nothing until they talk to me first. What you mean? He recruited Texas A&M. He ain't talked to me. What you mean he talked to me? That's what it is. It's Kevin. You know how it is, Kevin. Most of us have never been the priority. You want to make rich, wealthy people mad? Tell them no. What? All that PC go out the window. Here you go. Nick Saban walk in the restaurant. I'm sorry, Mr. Saban, man. We all booked up. What you mean? Here you go. Listen.
Just opened up.
Here it is. And then Jimbo walk out the bathroom. And he go, is that Jimbo? Yeah. And Jimbo go, hey, man, I appreciate y'all open up a table for me and my lady. Hey, man, it happens, Kevin. But listen, at the end of the day, like you said, you don't get recruited by Georgia and Alabama. You get asked. And all of a sudden, an Alabama area code just popped up in his phone. Man, Nick Saban, you don't get out of here, man. Get out of here with your nonsense.
I do think it's fun. Like I said, they're battling it out. Not the only guy I think Nick Saban can't get right now would be Arch Manning. Because if
whoa. That's
no. If Arch Manning goes to Alabama, I think Cooper is disallowed at the family gatherings. Like, you cannot come over for Christmas. We went to Ole Miss. Dad went to Ole Miss. Eli went to Ole Miss. Peyton went to Alabama. If Arch goes or Peyton went to Tennessee. If Arch goes to Alabama, Cooper don't even bother coming over for Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. Right? You can't.
No, Kevin. This is the thing. They'll give him a pass. Because this is the thing, right? This is the thing. People go Arch Manning 3. It comes down to 3. I said, how many of those 3 have to do with Georgia and Alabama? Well, that's 2 of the 3. Is it? Georgia and Alabama is 2
Georgia
of
is
the
one
3?
of them.
Yeah, Georgia's 1. Alabama's another one. And I think it's Texas. So let me get this straight. You got oil, you got prestige, and you got F-150s. Okay, cool. I get it. I ain't mad at nobody. Kevin, all I'm saying is, right, Arch Manning is a New Orleans kid. I get it. So he knows about the South. If NIL is not in place, that boy's going to Tennessee and Ole Miss, hands down. They're not even, he ain't even visit them. I don't want to go to Oxford. I don't want to go to Knoxville. Why? Because they ain't got no money.
No, look, I think obviously, look, if he went to Ole Miss, I don't think he's going to go there either, but he went to Ole Miss is like, how much pressure would there be? Like, bro, your granddad's name is on the street. Like, you have the same name as that guy. The speed limit on campus is after your granddad, and your granddad and uncle have their jerseys up on the side of the stadium. Little bit of pressure.
And the speed limit 18 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So then you go to Tennessee. It's like,
oh God, don't even do that.
Be like your uncle. I mean, look, again, where's he going to go? I don't know. I know he really likes Georgia. Apparently said Athens is one of the great college towns he's been to. But then I'm just saying, if family means anything to Arch Manning, he's not going to Alabama. I'm just saying. Like, I think Cooper would be disallowed. He would be kicked out of the Manning family if Arch goes to Alabama. That's all I'm saying.
Kevin, do you remember growing up when people had family businesses? Oh, yeah. The son took over for his daddy. His son go, ain't no more family business. Why? Because the son ain't doing it. Hey, man, I ain't working in the store. What you mean? This has been our family. Y'all can do it. I'm not doing it. And all I'm saying is Arch, his name is Arch. I just think at the end of the day, right, they're gonna support it because they have to. He is the number 1 recruit in the country. All right, cool. I can get that part 6'4", big arm. I get it. Kevin, at the end of the day, it costs $10.1 million to be the head coach of Georgia. You know how much it's gonna cost to get Arch Manning? Oh, no. I mean, Arch. Right now they're saying it's at $3.5 million. Here's the thing, right? You're giving him that money to do what? Like, what is he gonna do? He went to spring practice.
Come on, man.
And Kevin, and this is the thing, Kevin. At the end of the day, could you imagine if Tom Brady Jr. was the number 1 recruit?
No, look.
No. Could you imagine? Can you imagine with Peyton Manning's son?
But this is for real though. This, to me, I look at it and say that's what NIL is, right? I mean, like, your last name is Manning. You play quarterback. Like, it doesn't matter what it was in the NIL era, man. It's like, you are the number 1 recruit. Your last name's Manning. You're related to Archie, Eli, and Peyton. You're going to get some money. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's just like all of a sudden, hey, why is Arch doing commercials with his 2 uncles? Because he's Manning. He plays quarterback. And so, yeah, I think he's going to get a lot of money. But yeah, I still think, all that aside, there are certain places where Grandpa sits down with grandson and says, you're not going there, right? But I really like, you're not going there.
Hey, because what's going to happen is he goes to Alabama, beats the brakes off of Ole Miss. Beats the brakes off. Listen, they're going to beat the brakes off of Tennessee. They're not allowed to beat Alabama. No, Kevin, it's just crazy. I mean, maybe, listen, my father, look, love him, I mean, the greatest. How he raised me and how he raised his grandsons is different. He's a, to me, they call him Papa. Yeah, Papa is way different.
You go to Alabama and you beat up on Ole Miss, Arch is not even getting a turkey sandwich. I think it's not going to happen.
He'll say, Granddaddy, I don't need your turkey. I got my own chicken. How about that?
We'll come back. We got more to come. It is 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's good to have you along here on this Friday. I'm Kevin Thomas. We have our own legend, Ben Troop, Florida legend, Titans legend, if he wants to be called that. I'll give him the Titans legend. Why are you laughing?
Because only you and I know what it really is. Like only you and I really know. Like we got such a legendary show going. Everything is so. Hey man, listen. At the end of the day, look, there are legends who are there. Listen, there are legends who are made, and there are legends who tell you, "Hey man, I'm a legend." So just what's up? Legendary. I ain't mad at it though, Kevin. I mean, automatically, systematically, we got a lot of legends. You know, so I'm just saying.
Oh, sorry. I that is correct. Sorry, Ben and I are just.
Hey man,
at
the end of the day, you're gonna get a lot of laughs on Friday sometimes. Hey man, this the 8th or 9th inning. We're trying to get these last 6 outs and get that dub.
We just don't want to bring in Will Smith at this point. we need somebody to come in and finish the show. We'll try to find somebody new for the last hour. We got a lot to come up in the last hour. SEC meetings next week. There's going to be a lot of really big stuff talked about there, including obviously NIL is going to have to be at least talked about at the end of the day. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit, but we'll count you up towards Braves baseball. Braves and the Marlins this weekend. Ben, and I saw something. I think Justin Toscano of the AJC, who covers the Braves, tweeted this out. Love a good bobblehead, and that's it's interesting that they're playing the Marlins. If you ever get a chance to go watch a game down at Marlins Park, I say this because a lot of people are like, why would you go? No, they don't even want to watch a game. Marlins Park, actually a good place to watch a game. I will say that. And if you like bobbleheads, they have a museum, Ben, on the ground level right there, up behind home plate of all the bobbleheads from every team around Major League Baseball. Have a huge thing right there. You can just walk through and see all of them. And tonight, apparently, I guess there's a giveaway at the Braves game where they are giving away a Freeze bobblehead. Can you beat the Freeze? So the Freeze apparently is getting his own bobblehead that they're giving away tonight.
Wait. The Freeze is just not getting. It took them to 2022. They ought to be ashamed of that Freeze. I thought the Freeze been had one.
I know, but I thought about you last night, Ben, because obviously now the Freeze has his own bobblehead. But the guy that raced the Freeze last night, I saw a lot of tweets of, oh man, apparently the guy that just raced the Freeze like blew out his hammy or his quad or something. I said, so all I could think of was
Oh yeah, you gonna listen, Kevin. This is the thing, right? The one thing you do the least in your life, at least, is run fast, like just sprint. And all of a sudden, when you finally finna do it, you're gonna do it against the Freeze. If you've ever had your hammy go out, it's like getting shot in your leg. It is rough.
Because and again, it's not funny, but just the way you read stuff's like. And the guy's like, "Oh man, just." I think he
was talking trash to his people. Hey man, I'm gonna beat him. You got to get.
Look, man. There's not the 1 second I would feel confident beating the Freeze, much less even want to be in that race. I'd be like, "Hey man, I'll be honest. You can give me till I'm all the way around the right field. You probably still beat me because I'll be able to go."
Rough. I mean, how fast is the Freeze? Like you say, that long head start.
Well, he's an Olympic sprinter. I mean, he's an Olympic level sprinter. So it's like you could literally give me a 2/3 of the way start, and I probably still wouldn't win.
At the end of the day, I want a Freeze bobblehead. I want my own bobblehead, but I mean that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah, but the Freeze got his own bobblehead. I saw it looked pretty cool. I thought that was a pretty neat idea. Add it to the collection of bobbleheads. We'll bobble our way through one more hour here on the show and hand you off to the Braves and Marlins, but a lot to get to coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're talking SEC spring meetings coming up next week. A lot of big stuff coming out of Destin next week. We're coming right back. Good to have you back here. 3 and Out final hour. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Counting you down towards Braves and Marlins coming up this weekend. Braves trimmed a couple of games down from that lead of the Mets. Tied a series or split a series with the Phillies last night. Now they get the Marlins coming up this weekend. So we'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, we've talked about it a lot. SEC meetings coming up next week. Certainly a lot on their plate from scheduling, which we've talked about, future scheduling, how they want the postseason to look, because I think they carry a lot of weight in pushing for a 12-team playoff, expanded playoff, or, hey, we'll even discuss doing it ourselves. But in light of the Nick and Jimbo conversation, Ben, how much discussion do you think Greg Sankey and the SEC has in regards to NIL and in terms of how it's being implemented, how it's being used around the league? I think, obviously, Nick Saban sending out a message saying, boosters, if that's how we're going to play, then let's pony up money. I think you have other guys like Lane Kiffin saying, well, wait a minute. If boosters have that much power, is he going to be able to tell me who I'm supposed to play and who I'm not supposed to play? I think there'll be a lot of things discussed about NIL at the end of the day there in Destin next week.
Hey, Kevin, you know what? And I know people ain't gonna like this, but I hope it's the most important issue to discuss when you talk about the meetings, because let's call it what it is. The SEC is just there to talk about how great they are, how much they got the biggest brands, they got the biggest schools, they got the most money, they got the most resources. Greg Sankey is the most powerful man. We always talk about the NIL, and we don't know what it is. We know what it is. We don't know what the rules are. We don't know what the floor is. Now, the ceiling, that's a little bit different. But what is the floor? And I don't
think there is a ceiling.
Yeah, the ceiling is a roofless house. That's kind of what it. But I just think that, Kevin, when you think about Greg Sankey, right? He wants expansion, but he wants it done through the NCAA, and he's threatening using the SEC to do it. Because once he make that decision, that's it. And if it blows up, he's gonna be known for get it blowing up and it not doing well. Now, how great would it be for Greg Sankey and the SEC to lead the way in saying this is what NIL is across the board? Because by saying that, the NCAA obviously ain't finna say nothing. They not. Listen, we're gonna give it one more week. Y'all ain't saying nothing. I just think that when you talk about the SEC, you go back to the pandemic, they the best. They rolled out the season the best because they waited the longest to get it going. They trust the medical professionals. Excuse me, the product on the field is already there. Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, LSU, Georgia, Florida, so on and so forth. The epicenter of college football, Atlanta. The SEC championship game, got it. College football playoff appearances, 2 in the last, 2 in the last 3 years, and 2 national championships were about both Alabama and Georgia, with them splitting in the last 3 years. When you talk about NIL, Greg Sankey come out there and say, hey, this is what we're going to do for NIL in the SEC. This is how we're going to implement it. That's really talking to the other 4, P5 conferences, and obviously G5 going to try to follow suit. Because listen, let me say this. It's not supposed to be the same for everybody, but you're supposed to have the same rules. Like, because think about it, Kevin, at the end of the day, look, if I'm getting batting practice for Ronald Acuna Jr., right? I think my kid got a better shot to be really, really good when he has that guy help. Doesn't mean he's going to do it with somebody who's batting coach, who's hitting coach, Ronald Acuna Jr. What? Just the perception of that is going to make you think, okay, they're going to say wrong. They're going to say, how did your kid get that? That's what the SEC is. How did they do that? Because it's all perception. Nobody, listen, outside of Ohio State, what? Maybe a Clemson or a Notre Dame or maybe a Texas if they good. Can't nobody win the national championship. Who gonna win it? So it's less about that. It's like Greg saying, we already got that. We good. And we had Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. And we had, Napier. I think that with the NIL, Kevin, they got a chance to say, let's set a freaking floor. It's not, that's all we're doing. Setting a floor. Now the boosters or whomever, the powers that be, we gonna go crazy. Hashtag, what is the SEC doing? We don't, because what are we doing right now? Outside of,
to me, that to me is the big issue, because the NCAA, for all of their faults, was set up and specifically laid out guidelines for, hey, if you are a fan of a school, you cannot do this, right? You cannot do this to influence recruits. How, again, and it's all going to be wink, wink, nod, nod. Can you not influence recruits when you are setting up booster groups at every school saying this is why we are here is to give out. Now, again, does that mean they have a deal before they show up? But maybe not, but it's probably highly talked about. Hey, if you come here, there are opportunities. Wink, wink. That may be in store for you.
Yes.
You could kind of a ways around. And again, I think most coaches, because to me, the one thing that I got was, coaches want to be able to make all the money and do that. Coaches don't dictate a lot of what happens in college football. Like Nick Saban said, hey, I just won yet another national championship. Alabama said, we'll give you $10 million. Nick ain't saying no to that. He's not going to go, fellas, that's too much. That's too much. Kirby's not going to the powers that be at Georgia while they're reworking his deal going, oh, fellas, please. I'm embarrassed over here. Take a few zeros off of that thing. Because crazy. No, they're saying yes. I think what the coaches see with NIL is not necessarily a complete loss of power. It is just where the power is coming from. I don't think it's even coming from the players. I think if you were to give the truth serum, Ben, to the coaches, most of them would probably say, fine, let the players make their money, right? I don't think most of them probably have no issue with that. I think the problem comes in, is it a distraction? Is you getting that deal taking you away from my team time, which you only get, 20 hours a week? Is that going to try to pull you away?
And you talk about wink, wink. Woo!
Yeah, so I think most coaches would say, look, how do you make it so it works for the kids? Like, I honestly think most coaches don't care if kids have NIL money.
I agree.
Maybe call me naive, but I just think most coaches like, I'm getting 10, let the kid get whatever. It's fine. I don't want that taking away from what I'm doing, right? I don't want that to affect what we're doing over here. And that's the power I think you're talking about. And Lane Kiffin addressed it. I don't want that booster to have more control over what happens on my team than I do. As Lane said, they get a kid a big NIL deal. He's not playing. Bring Lane. Why is this kid not playing? He's not there yet. He's not good enough yet. Well, I gave him $100,000 to say that he is good enough. Well, he's not playing. Next call, ring, AD. Why is he not playing, my guy? Go talk to him. And I think that is what college coaches don't want, is the outside forces telling them what they can and can't do with their program in regards to some of this stuff that's going on.
Kevin, you make a great point, and that's why I say rules got to be established. Think about this. I want to listen. Coming up, in Augusta, Georgia, when I was a teenager, and going to Butler High School, I didn't go to a prestigious high school. I just knew that at a certain point, I was a big time recruit. How did I know I was a big time recruit? Because I'm going to the University of Georgia, in Clemson, in South Carolina, in Louisville, in Georgia, and Florida. But when I go to Georgia, first time I went, I was a junior. They had a game going on. I'm walking on campus. People know who I am, and I don't have a name tag on. Then I go back to Georgia for a football camp. The only football camp I went to in high school, by the way. Shout out to my head coach, David Lamb. Then when I came back as a recruit, I look at how I'm being treated. I'm not a quarterback, right? But then the only reason why I knew I was a big recruit because I got the big recruit treatment. Because when I used to ask other recruits, did they take you and do this to you? No. Did you go meet with the coach? It was about no. They're like, dude. I said, they pulled me to the side the other day. Yeah, man, I've been with the group the whole time. But now I can tell other recruits what recruiting is because I got to experience at the top level. Doesn't mean I was better than anybody else. But I can tell what a recruit is because I was one. I can't tell what NIL is. I can't tell what it is. Is it Jordan Addison? Right? Is it Master P's son? Master P's son who went to Tennessee Tech that got a $2 million deal, from a technology company. That's not NIL. NIL at its core is to benefit from my name and image. That don't all benefits come in a lot of ways. It's not just monetary. We think, it's got to be the money. No. To me, NIL is how much free stuff can I get from my name. Because think about this, Kevin. At the end of the day, I go to see Florida play Michigan in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl a couple of years back, Felipe Franks and company, and I would, oh yeah, man, Ben, here's your media gift. I get a gift, yeah. And I'm like, whoa, and the thing is, think about this, Kevin, it don't matter what it is. It's free. Because I'm with the media, I get it. Name and image like it's supposed to be. How can we? It's too many companies. Think about the companies that want to work with these kids, but they seeing the money being given. I can't compete with that. So I can't even give him anything because I don't have that. That's the crazy part. Because it's like bowl games. It's so many bowl games. Now, every bowl game ain't giving the same amount of money. Absolutely not. Some bowl games, we give out more merchandise than we give out money. Right? That one over there. And I think that's what it is. Making sure that you got a pool to where you got companies and boosters. Boosters got the cheese, but they've always had the cheese. Right? Cheese come with influence. We get that. But what about the companies that want to work with these young people? I was talking to Lorenzo Lingard, a running back at Florida. He said, look, man, NIL, it was a player that was on the team that was a backup running back that got a great job because through NIL, he was able to build a relationship with that fan who ends up having a big time company. He gave him a job when he graduated. That's NIL. Because we think, okay, you want to make a couple of dollars, cool. Well, what about if you go through your 4 years, you never get on the field, you don't benefit from your name and image? Like, do you feel like you got duped? You have been duped because there's too many things out there. And Kevin, you give a compelling argument every time. It's half the universe. Before we know you, it's the university and college. We don't know you yet. You ain't done nothing yet. We only know who Jordan Addison is because he was a Biletnikoff winner and he went from Pitt, took a pit stop, he had a delay in Tuscaloosa, and he ended up in USC. All I'm saying is, Kevin, is at the end of the day, if I am a student athlete, male or female, in college, I should get something. And something could mean a lot of things, a lot. And the last thing it should mean is money. If you can get money, cool. I'm telling you to get your money. But how much? But because there are no rules, you can do anything. And the problem is, if they try to do sanctions and they try to do them retroactively, ain't no way. You know how many schools, man? That one. NCAA, listen, NCAA ain't trying to do that. They already got the itty bitty rep they got. They trying to hold on to that. But I do think, Kevin, the SEC can set a precedent to say this is what NIL is, at least for the SEC, and hopefully it catches on like wildfire. Because just like I know, Kevin, outside of Arch, Jordan Addison, Bryce Young, Ewers, CJ Stroud. What about the guys who go? I don't know not one player who got an NIL deal at Texas A&M, but they just had no one recruit class. I don't know none of them dudes. See what I'm saying? So most of them are no names.
Look, and I feel like that is, unfortunately, probably the sad state of affairs, if we're honest, about, just people in charge in general. Is the number one thing. We've had a number of guys on talking NIL, pretty much everybody been. It's like, yeah, I don't really know what the right answer is. Well, I think so. What happens is everybody's standing around going, well, somebody come up with an answer and we'll probably just go along with it. Because everybody's willing to follow. I think nobody wants to lead. I think great point. I do think it would be a huge step if the SEC said, look, not speaking for the rest of y'all, but these are some guidelines we have come up with that we think is fair for all of our student athletes involved, for our coaches involved, for our programs involved. This is what the guidelines are. Or rules. Again, I'd rather you say rules because guidelines suggest that there's an option, right? It's like guidelines. When you say these are the guidelines, that leads me to believe that there's an option that I could do whatever. If you go to the zoo, it says do not feed the tigers. It doesn't say here's a guideline. We'd prefer you not feed the tigers because somebody might be, so I can. I'm gonna stick my hand in there and draw back a nub. Look. There are rules, and there are guys. Somebody needs to come out with at least a list of rules and say this is how we are choosing to operate. The end. Not, well, they're guidelines because over here they do that, over here they do that. And again, I feel like everybody, and I will put the blame on all 130 schools and the NCAA, is sitting back and saying, man, it'd be really nice if somebody came up with some rules. Because we don't,
and what are they so afraid of with that? I can get the hesitation of not wanting to, branch off and be your own league, step away from the NCAA because it's never been done, and then everybody gonna be watching you. But Kevin, it's like this. Okay, what is the big thing? We need somebody gonna have to do it. They've been knocking on the door for the NCAA. Hey man, y'all going? Nah, man, we ain't really.
He's out
right now.
It's disappeared.
I don't get it. Listen, it's almost like this. Listen. If it's T-ball, I don't get to take the ball off the tee, throw it up and hit. No, hit it off the tee. It's called T-ball. Hit it off the tee. Like everybody at least knows that. We can give you the rest of the stuff. There is nothing. If somebody say, all right, man, this is what we're doing NIL, and he just stops talking. He just hopes somebody say, what? I thought y'all said this to NIL meeting. Yeah, talk. Say something. Yeah. Like what? Hold on. You invited me to the meeting about nothingness? We need to talk because at the end of the day, Kevin, this is what you're really doing. It's like the rookie salary cap in the NFL. We couldn't let the rookies be making more than guys that's established. So look how everybody's coming to camp. By doing what? Everybody's coming to camp. There are no holdouts anymore. With NIL, I get it. Certain guys are gonna get certain things. I get that part. That's cool. But if everybody got something, I can't even worry about what the person that got
the temptation to chase the next best deal, I think, would be there because as we talked about the Jordan Addisons of the world, we're like, hey, we just had a great nationally recognized wide receiver and he's dipping. Not because he doesn't like our program, just because he's getting a better deal elsewhere. I think that's something, as you said, the SEC for the health of the league is, do you want a lot of your players bouncing from team to team at the end of the year because, hey, I can get a better deal, so to speak, elsewhere. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on this Friday afternoon all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's great to be back on this Friday, counting you down towards Braves and Marlins. Braves back at home here for the weekend series with the Marlins. It'll be Trevor Rogers and Ian Anderson. Braves still can't win 3 games in a row. I said I was going to come on crying about it. I kind of put my head in my hands last night at the end of the game. I was like, it's not physically possible. It's not happening. So it's frustrating. When you have a team that you feel like, hey, it might finally happen. Maybe it happens this weekend, but you didn't win 3 in a row, but you did split the series with the Phillies, and probably more importantly, quietly gained a game and a half on the New York Mets, who you're looking up at. Instead of 9, you're 7.5 out, and certainly an easy schedule here over the next 3 weeks or so.
Kevin, hopefully they can take full advantage of these next 3 weeks. Just stay poised. Don't get too ahead of yourself. I mean, splitting the series with the Phillies ain't what you hope for, but at least it's better than, losing the series. Obviously, as you mentioned, Kevin had a chance to really, get 3 out of 4. But the Phillies, just like the Braves, are saying, look, man, we can't let y'all. We chasing y'all. Before we can even think about the Mets, we got to keep pace with y'all, because no matter what, the Braves have earned the distinction of being great closers. They know now they close pretty freaking good. Now, you still got a little bit of time before you get to the All-Star game, but I do think, Kevin, the Braves got to just take care of one game at a time. Like I said, they're on this road. The Mets, a little farther down the road than us, but we can see them. The thing about the Braves is just keep chipping away at this thing. Don't get too high or too low. Try to find a rhythm, because, Kevin, the thing about the Braves is, man, if they down or they up, they make games too excited, up 4-0, and end up having to, go, bottom of the 9th, to get a hit. Ronald Acuna Jr. comes in. Got to get healthy, though. I will say that. Ozuna and Acuna got to definitely get healthy. Acuna definitely. I think just that in and out of the lineup, Kevin, is trying to do too much when he's in there. He's going to have to get healthy, but I like the Braves' chances. I think that if anything else, they know how to win, whether you've been on the team or you a newcomer. It's about quality at bats. It's about great starting pitching. It's about an incredible bullpen. It's about great defense, and it's about not getting too anxious with these games. It's the World Series or the playoffs, not won or lost. In late May, I get it, but Kevin, I'm like you. The Braves was disappointed as you like, they could have had it, and it slips away sometimes. But like I say, I'm not gonna do the BJ Bennett. I am cool. It's all right. I figured out that a lot of my, associates, they ain't friends because they Yankees fans. All these Yankees fans around here, listen, it's about the Bravos. Don't ask me. Somebody go ask me, man, you wear a lot of Braves hats. You root for the Braves? I said, what did you say? Do I root for do I root for the Braves? Is there anybody else to root for? I'm telling you, people talking about, well, I root for the Tampa Bay Rays. That's not a real baseball team. Go on over there with that nonsense. So for me, Kevin, stay poised, find a rhythm, take care of business, and hopefully, like you mentioned, by the end of June, man, we talk about 3.5 back. It's cutting into that lead with the Mets, because Kevin, the closer, the more games they cut in with the Mets, that's going to make the Mets a lot quicker than we would hope.
Well, and again, you kind of look at it at the long view. It's frustrating to me, because I feel like this team, you don't want to have it on. There's like, hey, you can't win 3 in a row. We haven't won 3 in a row. Haven't won 3. To me, it's just something that you keep coming back to, that you want to kind of put behind you. But again, after that, you have the Marlins, who are behind you in the standings. During this run, you have Arizona, who's next to last. Colorado, who is last in the West. You got Pittsburgh, who I think is 5th in the Central. Look, you are playing some teams who are not very good. Like, they're not. They are down in the standings. You got to take advantage of it. But been over this run and this lead up through January 20 or June 20th. As you talked about, if you can chip off a game a week, just a game a week, you'll be sitting there 3.5 out by the time you reach to June 20th. And 3.5 is a heck of a spot to be in. All of a sudden, going up obviously against some harder competition from that standpoint moving forward, but you're also now in late June coming up on the cusp of the All-Star break, and you're saying, are you in position? If you're 3.5 out in late June, you're starting to go into July saying, if we need a piece, and Alex Anthopoulos has been a wizard at this, but I mean, if you need a piece, you're obviously going for it. 3.5 out. I mean, they went for it farther out than that last year, or for a different spot last year. So, look, I think if you're Alex Anthopoulos, you just want this team to be within striking distance. Now, if you're closer than that, well, that's obviously That's a big win. But just one game a week. That's not a lot. Just one game a week and try to keep pace with the Mets. And come late June, you're going to be right there in a discussion where 3 games out, that's a sweep series. You go up against the Mets, you sweep, you're all of a sudden you're right there. I'm not saying you have to look at, but one game a week, and you are going to trim this thing down to something reasonable. I think again, the frustrating part is you haven't been able to string success together. Baseball is no different than any other sport. It's a momentum based sport, right? And I know the old saying is like, well, you're only good as your next day's starting pitcher. Well, the Braves got some pretty good starting pitching.
Yep.
I think it's the offense that has been inconsistent, and you just can't get that long-term momentum to me 3, 4, 5 games in a row. Again, I'm not saying it's baseball. I'm not saying going a 12-game win streak, but the Braves can't even get enough momentum to do an 8 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, because they just can't string together 3 or 4 days of consistent baseball. Yesterday, no Ronald Acuna, no Marcell Ozuna. That hurts. And look what happened. You took Marcell Ozuna out and Ronald Acuna. You put Orlando Arcia and Guillermo Heredia in there, and you muster 1 run. I mean, again, I'm not saying those guys are bad ball players, but it makes a difference in the potency of your team. And that's one thing that the Braves just haven't been able to string together. Consistent lineup. Acuna's been in and out. Now Ozuna's got some nagging small stuff that kept him on the bench last night, and you just haven't been able to play. I'd be hard pressed to check, man. Have the Braves played a week with the same lineup? I don't know that they have at this point, because of guys who are hopping in and out due to various things. So to me, that's the frustrating part, is that they're a better team than what they've showed, and you want them to push through because you want that 3, 4, 5 days worth of momentum. Now, I think you kind of are getting there, because you took 2 or 3 from Miami, you split with the Phillies, and you're 5-5. So you're kind of getting to that point where over 10, you've played kind of down the middle. But this is where I'd like to see you take a home series against the Marlins and really go out and try to flex. I'm not saying the Marlins aren't trying to win, but you're a better team than them. Go out and flex a little bit and try to sweep a series here and really make some things happen in terms of the positive momentum with your ball club. But we'll get to that coming up. The Braves and the Marlins later tonight. Trevor Rogers and Ian Anderson, your pitching matchup to get you started into the Memorial Day weekend. We'll come back. We will hear from Chris Carlin, ESPN Radio, co-host of Carlin and Canty on ESPN Radio, which you hear weekdays after we are done. Of course, you hear Chris Carlin everywhere, filling in for Mike Greenberg and others. We'll have a conversation with him about some college football and more. We'll hear from him next. This is 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
distance, right? I think it's good, first of all, that student athletes have this opportunity to make some money, considering what the structure has been for so long. And I think that's a great thing. What you don't love is that there are now so many cooks in the kitchen in terms of trying to get these NIL deals done with, coaches, and now down to boosters and what kind of collectives they can put together and all that. Listen, I want to see the best competition possible on the field. And if that means that players are finally going to get what they're due, that's great. I just hate to see situations like we saw in Pittsburgh where, Jordan Addison, the wide receiver at Pitt, the Biletnikoff Award winner, is the best receiver in the country, ends up at USC because he's got a deal where he's got, $2 million potentially in NIL deals and maybe a house involved. But I also think it's smart to look at it from his standpoint of, hey, I just lost Kenny Pickett. I need to make sure when I'm trying to get drafted, I have the best numbers possible. So it ends up beneficial for him. I just wonder in the long term if this is going to end up being the perfect system for that, as much as I feel like players should get paid.
Oh, no, you're right. I think, as you said, I've mentioned several times here, it started out as, hey, players, first it was, hey, we just want some dollars to be able to do some of the things that every college player does, to, hey, we deserve a shot, to all of a sudden it is, hey, there's a deal being set up before you even go over here that I think drives a lot of fans crazy. It's not that they don't care, that they care that college athletes are getting paid. I think if it becomes a bidding situation, I would think certain schools will look at it and say, how are we ever going to compete if you're a Duke or a Wake Forest when a larger college, potentially in a major market, comes a calling with a sweeter deal?
Well, that's exactly what Nick Saban was doing last week, was calling on his boosters to step up and do the job, but also, lawmakers in Alabama to try to level the playing field there because, right now players from Alabama cannot accept money in an NIL deal from any booster of the university. So, there are different rules all over the place, and I think you're going to hear a lot of people complain about the system as is, which that's tough to take for me, especially from Nick Saban. If you want to complain about your lot in life, that's fine, but understand that you've had a massive advantage for a long, long time.
Oh, absolutely right. And that was one of the things I did want to ask. Obviously, you're there broadcasting with a school like Rutgers, and in just this age of college football, how does Rutgers compete? Should that be the mindset? Hey, we're going to compete to win a Big Ten championship. Is that a realistic thing? Is that something they should strive for? Is it, hey, if we have a window, we got to take advantage of it, and more often than not, we're going to be chasing the Michigans, the Ohio States of the world?
Well, I think in a couple of years, it's something that's realistic. They have continued to improve under Greg Schiano, and with the system the way it is now, they're obviously going to have to do more. It's going to be an even bigger challenge. They've had boosters who have formed collectives as well. But the one thing I would say is I've watched Greg Schiano do it at Rutgers before. His first time around, when everybody thought it was not possible to do in terms of building a program that could compete for conference championships. So I'm not going to sell him short, but there's no question that the mountain is taller this time when you're talking about dealing with Ohio States and Michigan.
Chris Carlin joining us here on 3 and Out. And Chris, you look at just college football. Obviously, we view it somewhat differently depending on what region of the country you're from. But at the health of the game, where do you feel it's at? Obviously, athletes are in a brave new world here where they're getting compensated for their abilities. The average college football fan, depending on what region of the country you're in, where do you think the country at large views kind of college football, where we're trying to be sold on teams have a chance versus, hey, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, the same 7 or 8 teams seem to be showing up more often than not in that discussion?
Listen, I think it's great that you saw Cincinnati this year do what they did. And I think that's incredibly important. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they can never win a national championship. or any team like that can never win a national championship, but they showed you can compete for one at the very least. And that speaks volumes to me about where we've come. I think the health of the game is pretty good itself. It's just, it's so difficult to predict how this is going to affect things here in the next couple of years. Is it going to make it more lopsided or not? Really, what is becoming clear is for the teams that are Division I teams that are not in a Power 5 conference, that may find it more difficult to come up with money among boosters that really, have to fight for it. I think that's where it's going to get a little bit more challenging. It's just, I'll give you an example. Maryland is a team that there's a program that theoretically should have a lot of big money with Under Armour and Kevin Plank behind that. But how much of a difference is that ultimately going to make in NIL deals? I don't know the answer to that. And that's one of those kind of programs that you want to see where are they capable of taking that next step? See.
Chris Carlin joining us here on 3 and Out, and just along the money lines of it, how do you think college football sustains from a financial competitive standpoint? Honestly, in the pros, you have revenue sharing, and college football, you have conference revenue sharing, and we saw the numbers come out from the COVID year, and the SEC's making twice as much as the Pac-12. The SEC and the Big Ten stand to make way more than the Big 12, Pac-12. And the ACC. How do you stay competitive in an environment like that?
Well, two things. Number one, I'm not going to be surprised if I either see the Power 5 break away or 3 super conferences within a few years. I think that the Pac-12 eventually and the Big 12 eventually are going to go away, and you might be talking about the SEC, the Big Ten, and the ACC becoming all that much bigger. I could see a scenario where you have teams in the Pac-12 that the Big 10 is going to salivate over, like Cal and Stanford, the kind of programs they are, USC, UCLA. Like, I can see that. I think geographically it's out the window. But I would not be surprised to see it break away from the NCAA, the Power 5 schools as they are right now, or certainly the 3 big power conferences, and see them break away. I would be shocked if we don't have that kind of a dramatic change within 5 to 10 years.
Oh, definitely see that coming. And has there ever been a more toothless governing body than the NCAA right now?
I think when it comes to football, I don't really know how they can claim to have any power right now when all the conferences, as the whole thing is structured, really have all of the power. So, it's the NCAA in so many ways has really just not acquitted themselves very well of running collegiate sports. And I think in some ways you're going to see that really, I think in the next couple of years, you're going to see that really come back and bite them.
Absolutely. Chris Carlin joining us here on 3 and Out. You can hear me as the co-host of Carlin and Canty. Tell us about the show. Obviously, I know folks have heard you in the Mike and Mike time slot and others, but obviously you and Chris Canty are going to settle in there and do your thing. Tell us a little bit about the show.
Chris and I are 2 guys that I've known Chris for a while, and I think we have some different sensibilities. He obviously having a tremendous career with the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Ravens, and me not having a tremendous career with any of those 3 teams. If Chris can put up with my idiocy, which so far it appears that he can, I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And, he's so smart and so insightful. I think fans are going to really get a chance to enjoy a show where we don't take ourselves too seriously, but at the same time, in the big stories of the day, we're going to give you a little bit different of a perspective than you're going to get somewhere else. More than anything, it's just going to be fun because we're not splitting the atom here.
Certainly not. We're talking about sports, having a great time. Chris Carlin, our guest. Chris, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for having me, man.
We appreciate it. Chris Carlin joining us here. You can catch him on Carlin and Canty in the evenings right here after 3 and Out. We've got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Ready for the weekend. Here's one more segment to go before we head into the weekend. Braves and Marlins coming up in just a little bit to start off a 3-game weekend series. And the Braves head to Arizona on Monday. Again, Memorial Day on Monday. We'll have full day of baseball for you there, but please take some time. I know Ben and I said it earlier in the show. We'll just echo those sentiments again here. It's Memorial Day on Monday. Take the time to remember those who have paid that ultimate sacrifice so that Ben and I can talk sports. And I mean, not just that, but that affects us, but can do a lot of the things that we do. And you guys and gals who listen to the show, you can go out and do a lot of things you do. Again, take an opportunity, go to a memorial service, or just take that moment to remember those who have allowed us to do the things we do on a daily basis in freedom. So I encourage you to do that coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, my sentiments exactly. I think sometimes we get caught up in the minutia of the hustle and bustle of our own lives, and rightfully so. You know, you go from being a young man to a grown man, raising kids and families, and trying to just figure out life itself. But we forget that there are people in this life who made the ultimate sacrifice to make sure we get to enjoy the freedoms and liberties that we have, and we cannot say thank you enough. I mean, Memorial Day, in a sense, should be every day. We should be thanking these people every single day because we get to live the lives we do because of them. But yes, enjoy your Memorial Day. Make sure you just be so thankful and appreciative for the lives that we get to live. With so much crazy going on all over the world, we get to have the lives that we live. Listen, we share the same U.S. of A. And just find a way to just be thankful for the people that made sure we get to live the life that we live. So I say thank you to those people because you did not have to know me to do it for me. So I just more than appreciate it. Yeah,
well said, Ben. And again, we'll have baseball for you. Hopefully the Braves, Ben, when we get back on Tuesday, we're talking about hopefully they can at least win 3 in a row. Somehow, some way, I'm going to keep saying it until they do it. I mean, I'm part of the problem. I admit it. I am part of the problem. I will keep saying it until they do it, though.
No, you're not part of the problem, Kevin. You just want to see them because Kevin, when they finally went 3 in a row and they go on this run, and Kevin go, that's what I've been saying the whole time. I think that's what it is about being a fan or even an analyst of it. We think that what we say, if they just do what I say, they go win that thing.
I'm the best manager on Twitter in the world. Now, if they went 3 in a row, Ben, I might even go hunt down some fake triple chocolate cupcakes that don't exist. And we can celebrate.
Whoa. Listen, if you got some triple chocolate fudge, double fudge, brownie cupcakes, and you are in the Golden Isles area in Georgia, just make sure you give some to Kevin Thomas. Kevin gonna say they good, but they are not doing.
We'll call them unicorn cupcakes. You can call them what you want, but they do not exist.
I mean, listen. This is the same Kevin that says when somebody says traditional or boneless wings, he goes boneless because that's not a wing.
I don't want to get my hands dirty. I'm dainty. You can't cut up a chicken wing with a bone in it.
I mean, listen. If it ain't got a bone in it, it's something else. It's manufactured. That's not a chicken wing, people. And I'm gonna say it till I'm gonna listen. That here right there. That's where I'm gonna be at with the bones in the wings. That's it.
Appreciate y'all joining us here on this Friday. Trevor Rogers, good pitcher, a 2-5 record though. Braves had some success off him just a few days ago. Had some success there against Ian Anderson. 3-3, 4.07 ERA. Again, the Braves have gotten some good starting pitching last handful of nights. Even last night, got some good pitching from Kyle Wright. Like to see that continue. Again, no Ronald Acuna in the lineup tonight. Still resting that quad, and we hope the Braves again can take advantage of this turn in the schedule and beat up on those Marlins again. Take no mercy on those boys from South Florida. We'll have that for you coming up in about 7 minutes or so from right now. So don't go anywhere. We'll have Braves and Marlins coverage for you. Afternoon baseball tomorrow, 4:10 first pitch. Sunday at 1:35. First pitch there for the Braves and Marlins. And then Memorial Day, we'll have 2 baseball games for you to take you through your Memorial Day. And Ben and I will see you on Tuesday. Enjoy it. In the meantime, go to ESPNCoastal.com, our YouTube channel, if you missed any portion of the show, at ESPN Coastal. We'll see you soon.